Physiocrats. The Physiocrats were a group of French Enlightenment economists in the 18th century who formed the first well defined school of economic thought. Their name, derived from the Greek for government of nature, reflects their core belief that economy was governed by natural, immutable laws. Core ideas and beliefs: the natural order. They believed society should be governed according to a natural order established by God. The government's role was to identify and uphold this order, not to interfere with it through excessive regulation. Wealth comes from the land. In stark contrast to the mercantilists, the physiocrats argued that agriculture was the sole source of nation's wealth, or product net net product. Only the land could yield a surplus, what remained after subtracting the costs of production. The sterility of industry and commerce. They believed that the manufacturing and trade were sterile activities. These sectors merely transformed or circulated the wealth created by agriculture without adding any net value to it. A craftsman might make a chair from wood, but the value added was only equal to the cost of his subsistence. The tableau economic, developed by their leader, Francois Quesnay. This was a complex diagram illustrating the circular flow of income and goods between different social classes. It was one of the first attempts to model the workings of an entire economy. Key policy prescriptions: laissez faire. Based on their beliefs, the physiocrats advocated for laissez faire, laissez passer. This famous phrase, meaning let do, let go, was a call for minimum government intervention. They argued against the mercantilist system of tariffs, guild privileges, and internal trolls that stifled the economy. A single tax on land. Since all wealth ultimately originated from land, they proposed that all taxes should be consolidated into a single direct tax levied on the net product of land. This, they argued, would be the most efficient and least disruptive form of taxation. Key proponents: Francois Quesnay and 1694 to 1774, founder and intellectual leader of the school. He was a physician to King Louis XV, which influenced his view of the economy as a circulatory system. And Turgot, Robert Jacques Turgot, 1727 to 1781, a prominent economist and statesman who attempted to implement physiocratic reforms as France's Controller General of Finances. Significance and criticism. Significance. They were the first to see the economy as a circular flow and to analyze the generation and distribution of surplus. Their focus on production rather than just exchange was a critical step forward. Their advocacy for laissez-faire and free trade heavily influenced later classical economists, particularly Adam Smith, who was familiar with their work. Criticism. The most significant error was the doctrine of sterility, which failed to see that industry and commerce also create value. Their policy recommendations, particularly the single tax, were politically impractical and ignored the growing importance of the industrial class. In summary, the physiocrats provided a vital corrective to mercantilism by shifting the focus from trade to production and championing economic freedom, thus paving the way for classical school of economics. That's it for this topic.